7 are waiting. Huh. It's playing a commercial for Hibdon's. So we're live, right? On YouTube? How about Facebook?
Let's start.
Can you see me in there, Denise?
Not yet. Just trying to figure out if I need to do something.
Have you started Facebook Live?
I will right now.
Oh. Okay, folks.
It's okay, Yukon.
Yukon.
Saying hello. Can you hear
Yukon
me?
is already watching? All right. Denise, go ahead and turn your volume up just to make sure we're getting good audio,
Can you
okay?
hear?
Make sure we're getting, he said he can't hear?
No, ask them if they can hear me.
Yep, can you hear us okay? Somebody give us a thumbs up, type in hearing good.
Yes.
This is OK2A. This is a meeting for, what is this month? March the 17th for 2020. So look like where to go?
Needs to be tighter.
Needs to be tighter. Uh-oh. You need to just zoom in a little bit. Which one is it? Is it Facebook or is it Facebook? I still haven't got Facebook come up yet. Let's see.
I'm sorry.
Facebook.
YouTube.
Oh, it's YouTube?
Facebook has
Okay.
got to go vertical.
It does? Okay. Hang in there with us, folks. We're getting some technical stuff together here. Is it going to go? Go ahead and zoom in and do what you can. Okay.
There we go.
We're there?
Yeah, well, it's horizontal now, so.
It's horizontal?
Yeah.
Looks like it's going. Well, I'm not getting anything on Facebook.
I haven't hit it yet. I'm just.
Oh, go ahead and hit it.
I got the horizontal screen.
Yeah. Sorry about you guys on YouTube. We're getting stuff set. We're running both Facebook and YouTube at the same time.
Tell them where they're.
Yeah, go ahead
signing in
and
from.
go ahead, folks. Type in where you're from, where you're watching from, what drugstore you're hiding behind, wherever you're able to get a good sound on us. Good. How's it coming? Is it coming in there yet, Denise?
Yes.
On both of them?
I haven't seen it on Facebook.
Not on Facebook yet.
Okay, Facebook is recording.
Okay.
Okay.
Facebook, you guys come on in there. I'm not getting any signals on mine here either. Let's see here. Where is my Facebook Live? 'Cause I figured we would be. Oh,
Douglas
over there.
Scully's watching. Douglas is on.
Right.
Douglas is on Facebook.
Doug says we're on Facebook
Yep.
because I'm on the wrong page. That's why we're having a
Second
problem.
Amendment Association.
Yep. All right.
Not OK2A discussion, but Second Amendment
I'm
Association.
on the wrong one. Sorry.
There it is. Okay. Now we go. Okay. Sorry, folks, for the delay to get things going there. That's what it takes sometimes to get this going. I appreciate, this is Don Spencer, President of the Oklahoma Second Amendment Association. And give me some thumbs up that you can hear us okay and everything seems to be working all right. That's what we need. Oh, I'm seeing some thumbs up. That'll work good. All right, folks. Odd week that's transpired just from last week when we got a number of bills passed out of the House and the Senate. So I'm going to try to go over and give you a quick rerun of what's happened, what we got passed last week. For starters, one thing we got passed was House Bill 2547, and this bill, this bill allows municipalities to set at their approval where employees could carry the firearms while on the job. Well, this already taken place at county level, so there's no reason why this should not be taking place at the state level. So that was passed last week. Also, House Bill 3010. House Bill 3010 is basically a cleanup language for constitutional carry, where it goes through and there's some spots we missed that said handgun. We've changed the word to firearm to make sure it was broad and actually match the language it's supposed to be related to. And also we're cleaning up some spots for municipalities to clarify that your rifle or your firearm needs to generally be pointed in a vertical up or down position for safety. This is to keep anyone from carrying a gun horizontal and sweeping, which has been one of the concerns for law enforcement. And as a CLEAT certified instructor, I agree that that is a concern we have to watch out for on that. Also, House Bill 3165 is related to the burden of proof bill. The burden of proof bill right here, which is one of these right here we've got. This is one of those things, it's a pretty complicated bill, and I want to thank one of our board of directors, Rex Duncan, who is an attorney, who is a former, worked the language to get this to the point to where at least it's over in the Senate. That's very important to transpire. Also, another big bill that happened last week came out of the Senate. This is one you guys are liking pretty well. House Bill 1081, which is the anti-red flag bill. Anti-red flag bill, because we don't need red flag laws. We're continuing to see people being basically shot to death and maybe even murdered in their own homes because of red flag laws that are going in for their arrest, and it's just completely overstated what they're doing. So what we also have is Senate bill, and we weren't sure if this was going to happen. In fact, it was the last bill heard out of the Senate. That's Senate Bill 781, and basically, if you remember from last year, this is the Uber carry bill. This is if you're using your own private vehicle and you're doing work for your employer, but you're using your own private vehicle, that the employer cannot prohibit you carrying a firearm in your car during that time, which is a much needed bill. And all these were passed last week out of the state Senate and the state House. And I want to thank Representative Eccles for working so close with us, and also Senator David for getting those other two bills out. Now, in all of that, SJR 16, which was to change the state constitution on the right to keep and bear arms, it fell where there was no vote. This was really disappointing because it should have happened, could have happened. We pushed for it to happen. And folks, like I've said for quite a long time, for many years, if we can't get something passed, there's no one to blame but the Republicans. And Senate leadership just decided not to hear this bill, so that's where we're at. Now, all that coming together, on top of, I want to talk about too, we had a rally in Grove, Oklahoma. If you guys that were in Grove, I'm looking down here on my laptop, give me a thumbs up for you guys that were in Grove, Oklahoma, because we had over 150 people there at the rally. And the reason we had that rally is because we have a state senator named Wayne Shaw, who said he's not going to hear any more gun bills. So that doesn't work for us, especially since 2 or 3 more will be in his committees possibly whenever things get back to normal, if that happens in the session in the legislature. And I'll talk about that here in just a little bit too. Now, folks, we live in Oklahoma. We've lost bills. We've had them go away because of tornadoes, because of flooding, because of wildfires, because of earthquakes, because things happen and it takes the momentum out of the legislature that people have to go back to their districts and deal with issues that they have actually in their districts. And so this is basically where we're at. They're not having to go back to their districts because of issues in their districts per se. They're having to go back to their districts because they've literally been run out of the state legislature, because as of this afternoon in the state Senate, there was a confirmed person who had been there that had the virus. And so this is what's going to happen, folks. We don't know what's going to happen. So they're going to shut the thing down for this week for sure. Next week, I would anticipate them shutting it down, and then maybe in a couple of weeks do an evaluation where they're at and continue to lay the groundwork. The state legislature is only at this point obligated to complete the budget. They're not obligated to complete any other bills. So it's possible everything we've done so far could go away simply because that they physically cannot be in the chambers to vote and to be there to handle this type of business, and they're already doing some special stuff to where they won't have to be in the chamber to vote. And obviously you can see that this is a problem getting bills done, but they have to have the budget done, and that is going to be the first priority, so we just have to acknowledge that and accept that. I'm not ready to just throw the hat in the ring here because this virus is taking place. And which, by the way, folks, the meeting tonight, we did this as a respect and precaution because leadership of the United States set up a state of emergency. The governor called a state of emergency. The mayor of Oklahoma City, I believe Tulsa, Stillwater, Edmond, have also called emergencies for those cities because of this virus. And just in the last 24 hours, it's almost doubled in the amount of people that have it. So when you go from 10 to nearly 20, that may not sound like much, but folks, if it doubles again in the next 24 hours, and after that, you can see how this could be a legitimate concern for authorities to deal with this issue. So that's why we went ahead and chose to take this meeting to viral, so you could still be caught up, so you could still know where we're at right now, which may not be saying a whole lot. And we're gonna, and like I say, I know a lot of times I'm saying, folks, we just got to go day by day. Well, we're pretty much on that same period here on taking it day by day, but it's going to be very interesting over the next 2 weeks and even beyond. It could even be 2 months before these things settle down. So we've got several bills that could go just to their prospective floor, like Senate or House Bill 2336. It needs one more vote on the House floor for it to go to the governor's office. We'll push to make sure that this happens because it's just that close. And it's possible that they could go ahead and see through to do that. And we'll work with the floor leader to get that done. That's basically what we're facing here. So it's an interesting time for sure, because you're going to see the economic on this is probably going to be greater than anything we've seen, maybe even since 9/11. And it's all from a virus you can't even see, which is really all the other things we can see, like I said, the floods, even terrorism, wildfires. You can see these things, but that virus it's something else. And so there's been a few of you that have been upset with us because we just said, well, we're not going to have our meetings with people there. And now you know why, because even the city of Oklahoma City tonight is not allowing groups in bars and restaurants and things like that. So we're going to respect the wishes of the government, because the fact is, folks, I think this is bigger than what they're even telling us. And that's why they've been so quick to respond like they have. And to overreact, I'm going to have to say I'm content with an overreaction, because I've seen what an underreaction does, and that can be pretty devastating. So be that as it may. Now, if you've got some questions, go ahead and type them in there. We got Kendall behind the camera. Also, Denise is watching in the next room. Right, Denise? You watching?
Right.
Yes. Denise is in the next room watching what's going on, too. So if you've got some questions, don't be afraid to type them in there. We'll see if we can get them answered for you tonight on this as well.
We're in a virus-free bunker.
We're a virus-free bunker. So we're pretty set up here just to make sure we're prepared. But yes, we're trying to be a virus-free bunker. And I was at Walmart today, and it's a little bit eerie walking in there and to see that many shelves of food empty in the place. So the main thing, like I say, don't panic. Obviously, do all the precautions that they're asking you. Stay away from people, wash your hands, and all that stuff. And hopefully, this should be a virus-free meeting that we're talking about right here, right? That's what we're trying to go with here. Okay, so have anyone fired off any questions in there yet, Denise, that you can tell? Not that you saw? No sweat.
Not related to...
Okay. So anyway, but like I say, all OK2A meetings for the month of March are going to be are not going to be held in Oklahoma, for the state of Oklahoma here. What I'm going to attempt to do is give you an update just like we're doing right now, at least either Facebook Live or give you an update so we can tell you if things transpiring or not, and do our best. Now, on top of everything else, the complications, I had told many of you, if you want to see history, show up at the state capitol on March the 31st. We are completely pulling that back because I don't see that they're going to allow the general public in there on March the 31st at this time. Actually, I don't even know if the Supreme Court will be held at this point. So, and at this moment, our attorney would not even be able to get in the building because we're not under the qualified reason to be in there. We're not an employee. So all these things have to be worked out too. What all this does is they're waiting for their 90-day period to start when they can start collecting signatures to repeal constitutional carry from last year. So this virus may actually push this up so late that they may not actually even ever get a chance to do that. I would be surprised if that happens, but I'm thinking at a minimum their time to get it done may actually be shorter than the 90 days they have to deal with. So it's going to be, that's just another thing we're dealing with here, just to see how that transpires out too, because who knows how that's going to play out for sure. So anyway, how many you got watching on Facebook there?
57 and 81.
57 and 81. All right, cool. All right, so anyway, we also have, what else was there I had here? Candidate surveys has been an issue. You guys have done great because you're already telling people, I'm not going to vote for you until you fill out an OK2A candidate survey. The filing period, I think it's April the 7th that candidates have to have filed for whatever seat it is that they're running for. So at that point, we'll be making some endorsements at that point, but also we will not be making any endorsements for any candidate unless they have a candidate survey into us following the instructions on the survey. You can download that survey yourself off of the website. You can also have them download it off the website. And anyone that's viewing that is a candidate, I highly recommend you download it, fill it out, and get it into us. Now, for those of you legislators that are current legislators, and if you've already got an excellent grade, you do not need to fill out this survey. We will make endorsements off of your voting record. And that's what's so great about it, because we've actually got something solid we can work from. So keep that in mind. But like I say, guys, if you've got someone that says they're running for office, the first question you ask them is, have you filled out an OK2A survey? That's what you ask them. And if they say who, what, where, when, point in the direction, let's get them filled out, because this is how we help you make sure we don't end up like Virginia. So we don't have a legislature full of anti-constitutionalists trying to take our guns and our rights away. So that's why that's important also. Let me see what else I've got through here too. Okay, I do want to talk about something that's come up, that keeps coming up, and it's too bad I don't have a copy of the bill with me, dadgummit. But anyway, or do I? No, I don't. House Bill 1111, if it gets a chance to be heard. There's been some serious misrepresentation on it, and it's really too bad. There's even some people that are going around and saying that some of these bars or restaurants that have axe throwing competitions or whatever, it's for recreational use, therefore it is legal for this to be happen inside these areas. If not, because the law actually says, notwithstanding any other provision of law, it shall be unlawful for any person to carry upon or about himself or in a purse or any container belonging to the person any pistol, revolver, shotgun, whether loaded or unloaded, or any blackjack, loaded cane, hand chain, metal knuckles, or any other offensive weapon, whether such weapon is concealed or unconcealed, except for this section shall not prohibit. So, this term, any other offensive weapon, folks, this is not, an axe throwing thing is not an offensive weapon because it's under the permission of the property owner. and this is not an issue. So people are saying, oh no, people are committing a felony because they're in there throwing axes. No, it's not. It is not, because if it was a felony, that means that restaurant or that bar could not have knives for people to eat their food with. They could not have forks. They couldn't have. In fact, there's even some places if they have a pool tables, they'd have to take the pool balls away from you. They'd have to take the pool cues away from you. Places that serve alcohol that have bowling balls, I'm sure a bowling ball could be considered or used as an offensive weapon. Baseball bats, heck, if they have a hammer, screwdrivers, and I'm not talking the drink either. Oh, okay. I'm not talking the drink either. I'm talking the actual screwdriver. Darts, knives. I've even heard of that they'll have wood carving contests and use electric chainsaws. Well, I'm sure electric chainsaw could be used as an offensive weapon. And also, of all things, believe it or not, bars, they actually have like mugs and bottles. That could be considered used as an offensive weapon. Chairs, tables, forks. Heck, if people take their hands and their arms into a bar, those could be used as an offensive weapon. So this misnomer that is being out there, and why people are dwelling on this, I guess they don't have anything better to do other than to try to sink the bill. Is what they're doing. And the thing is, the virus may sink it anyway before this is all over with. But it's taking so much out of context of what the law is. An offensive weapon is something you're using in an offensive manner. And the law specifically states, which I did not read the next paragraph, except for this section, it shall not prohibit. So here you can use any one of these weapons that have been mentioned or an offensive weapon. It says for the proper use of guns and knives for self-defense, hunting, fishing, educational, or recreational purposes. So I consider it a recreational purpose if someone wants to throw knives or darts or whatever there and it's under the control of the property owner. This is not an issue. So I want to address that, folks. So I know there's people that don't want the law changed on the House Bill 1111, so you can be in a bar you can be in a restaurant that has a bar and be carrying a firearm and be perfectly legal as long as you're not consuming alcohol. Why someone is against this, I don't know, but that's also what we're dealing with on that. And like I said, the business owner's rights, very clear, because it says nothing contained in any provision of the Self-Defense Act shall be to limit, construe, prohibit, or restrict in any manner the existing rights of any person, property owner, tenant, employer, place of worship, or business entity to control possession of weapons on any property owner controlled by the person or the business entity. So folks, don't get hung up on that, and let's just move on from there, because there's been some people get off on that. So I think since I don't have as much of an audience as I normally do, I'm getting close to where we're getting this up here. But like I say, was there any questions that were coming in there, Denise?
There's one on YouTube. It just says, does federal 2A protection purchase of ammunition?
On the state level, the federal level is set completely, and which I'm glad that was brought up. People keep asking about emergency powers. I got information on it right here. Back in 2011, OK2A, and actually it was Senator Anthony Sykes who had introduced this bill because what had happened in Katrina. And a lot of you people are worried about, oh, in Chicago they're going after their guns and some of these other places. Well, yeah, those are communist countries. We expect those morons to do that. And my sympathy level is actually kind of low because they allowed people to be put in those positions to put those laws in there to take the rights away from the people. So my sympathy level, but here in Oklahoma, where my sympathy level is not low, it's actually it's going to be very pertinent with this, is that we have the emergency powers of Oklahoma in firearms, and it's under Title 21, 1321.4, and it says acts which may proclaim prohibited actions at law or iniquity. Oh, I'm sorry. The governor, during the existence of a state of emergency, by proclamation may, in the area described in the proclamation, which the proclamation shall not cover, any part or portion of the state not affected by public disorder, disaster, or riot, or at any time the proclamation is issued. Now, Senator Sykes, this is great language, to make sure your rights are protected to own and keep and do whatever you're doing without breaking the law with a firearm doesn't change, because it says, notwithstanding this section, any other law of the state, either by the governor nor by any official of a municipal or state entity, shall prohibit or suspend the sale, ownership, possession, transportation, carrying, transfer, storage of firearms, ammunition accessories during a declared state of emergency or as otherwise legally under the law. So it is law that during a state of emergency, firearms, a transfer, storage, ammunition, all this stuff cannot be touched unless you're doing something which was otherwise already illegal. So that's one thing. Now, where OK 2A participated in, and we requested the amendment, and it was put on. I believe it was even T.W. Shannon put it on for us at the time. But any individual aggrieved by this violation of this section may seek relief in an action of law to redress against any person who subjects an individual to such blah, blah, blah. So, folks, this says specifically if someone were to take your firearms from you, you can sue them personally. Also, it says that if the governor were to go against this law, you can sue the governor personally. So this has a lot of teeth in it, and it's very well protected under state preemption on this. So those of you that have been worrying about it and asking about it, that, well, can they come take our guns and come take our guns? Well, I'm not saying they wouldn't do it. I'm just saying it's illegal, and I'm saying there is plenty of room for redress if such a thing were to happen. If such a thing were to happen. I hear of no idea, nothing that anybody is even whimpering about this to do this in the state of Oklahoma. So we've got that going for us. And again, you wonder what OK 2A does for you or has done for you. This is one of the things we worked on, because in a state of emergency, there is no reason that you would not be able to need to protect yourself or your family, or if you needed to sell a gun, sell ammo, give ammo to somebody, you could actually do that. You could actually do that at that time. Yes, sir?
I had a question here. Who pays for the lawyer if you sue them?
If you have a good enough lawyer, the lawyer would probably do it on a contingency on it. So you would be paying for it out of your settlement is basically what that would come down to. That's a good question. You got another one there? No? No. Really? No questions at all. Okay. Well, all right. Now, like I say, we go back to what's going on in the state Supreme Court. Right here, this is what it looks like for our response back to the action at the state Supreme Court. I was told it will be live streamed, and that's if it happens. It'll be live streamed, so we're going to try to get the information out so we can have this, make sure you can see the live stream on what takes place. I think there's like 90 minutes of questions and answers that take place, so it will take some time. And I'm sure it'll be real exhilarating, but hey, it's the first time I've ever sat in front of the Supreme Court in the state of Oklahoma. It's going to be interesting for sure. And yes, I'll probably wear a tie, so don't go into shock there, all right? Okay, that's basically what we're looking at. That's basically what we're looking at here. So if you've, you guys, like I say, on Facebook, on YouTube, if you guys are, type in where you're watching from, because that way I can come back and see what's been going on with that. And let's see, what else am I leaving out here? Kendall, am I leaving anything out? Can't file.
Did red flag pass?
I'm sorry?
There's one that says, did red flag pass?
Yes. The anti-red flag bill, which is Senate Bill 1081 by Senator Dom, did pass out of the Senate, and it is in the House. We'll see if we get a chance to get it heard in the House. Needless to say, this is complicated. Also, we're working on, there's one other problem that I'm looking at too, is that they banned all persons from the state capitol unless you're an employee or unless you're a liaison to one of the bureaucracies. Well, that portion I have a problem with, because the liaisons of the bureaucracies are using your tax dollars to go up and possibly work against our rights during all of this, and I would not be able to be there to answer questions and work this like I normally would. So at some point, they're going to have to open that up just a little bit more to those people that are there on a normal daily basis anyway, for them to be in there that are licensed lobbyists or so on, and then open it back up to the general public. So that's one thing I'm going to continue to push and work on too, because your voice has to be heard. Even though I realize you have legislators there, you also know how hard OK2A has worked to make sure these things are. And even though we're up against this incredible situation, we don't want want our legislation to just quit. Even though that may very well be happen at this point. And it wouldn't surprise me that there's legislators that would want that to happen, so they wouldn't have to vote on it, and they could walk away and say, "Ah, we didn't vote on anything, so you'll have to give us an A." So we're going to try to make sure that doesn't happen either. So other than that, something else here. Other than that, unless we've got some other questions coming up on there, that's what's going on. Let me. On the constitutional carry bill, which is House Bill 3010, which is Representative Gann and Senator Quinn, it's kind of interesting. We've got a 24-page bill that cleaned up almost a 25-page bill from last year, just on some odds and ends, and there's some other places we're fixing in it. We're clarifying that on a public trust property that you could have the option, if it's given to you, to carry your firearm open or concealed, and even a long gun. This bill needs to be passed just so we can make sure we've got this cleared up on a public trust property. Also to make sure that the city of Tulsa and Oklahoma City hasn't done it so much, but whenever they have an event on the street, that they do not prohibit the carry of firearms, basically at least handguns, while on one of these events. In fact, we're actually working the language. I'll go over that later if this thing gets advanced, because it's going to be a little more complicated. So anyway, but we've got 9, I believe I've got 9 active, I think, what was it I had? Where's my bill list? So what happens when you've got too many bills and you're not that organized anyway? All right, well, we've got, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like we've got 8 active bills. Yeah, I'm sorry, 7 active bills. 7 active bills left that have survived so far this year, and that's what we're keeping an eye on. Hopefully, we can get a couple of them still to the governor's desk, even with all this confusion and everything going on. So, other than that, I'm trying to look and see if there's any questions that are popping up. Anything on there? What was that? We're good?
We're good. We were just talking.
Oh, okay. That's my helpers back there helping. So anyway, that's what's going on at the state capitol. It's a unique and interesting time, folks, that we're in. But in Oklahoma, that's kind of how things have gone pretty much my whole life here. So anyway, all right. So we're going to call it a night here. I appreciate you guys tuning in and appreciate you keeping up with what's going on here. And folks, you guys have a good evening. See if you can get that to... I'm not sure how you get the YouTube one to stop.
You know any good jokes?
Kendall Mar.